Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. Chilliwack goes into self-lockdown as residents heeding the calls of the city and staying home where they can. Thanks for watching. We are committed to providing local news and news that impacts our local audience from Harrison to Garrison, Greendale to Hope, and everywhere in between, including Agassiz, Rosedale, Squeala First Nation, Fairfield Island, Ryder Lake, Chiacton First Nation, Yarrow, and downtown Chilliwack. Our very special guests this week are all going to be on via remote feed as chillTV has taken the position of having non-essential staff not in the studio for taping. And effective immediately, we've also ceased involving guest anchors on our show. They are a wonderful tradition that will continue, but only after it's deemed to be safe to do so. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. This past week for COVID news was a head shaker. Information came fast and furious. Some 200 doctors at hospitals in the Fraser Health umbrella want all non-essential businesses closed. Dr. Gerald DeRosa says he had support from not only his department at Royal Columbian Hospital, as well as Burnaby Hospital's Department of Medicine, the Chilliwack General Department of Medicine, and Surrey Memorial Hospital's Department of Medicine. Dr. DeRosa is concerned people are not taking social distancing seriously, saying even 25 people getting together is far too much. He said he knows of a case where 4 or 5 people met up and are now likely to be COVID-19 positive. Now, in response to chillTV's request for comment, Dixon Tam with Fraser Health Public Affairs said, "We are aware of the letter to Dr. Bonnie Henry from those doctors. We welcome the feedback from our physicians. We have strong measures in place, but we know this is an evolving issue and we need to be nimble and responsive too." As Dr. Henry said, we agree that we have to make sure we are doing everything we can, and we believe the measures we're doing equate to what they are asking for. There's still some problems and concerns. It is important for people to get outside, but do it with your family, do it with people you live with, and of course maintain that distance with others. Meanwhile, Dr. Kathleen Ross, the director of Doctors of BC, was upset with those same doctors for not consulting her office before the letter was posted and is urging that all doctors stand behind Dr. Bonnie Henry. The latest the resort communities of Cultus Lake and Harrison Hot Springs have virtually cut off visitors and asking for people not to come unless it's urgent business. The dog park at Island 22 is closed, but the FVRD is keeping the entire park, at least the park trails, open. Attorney General David Eby is permitting licensed restaurants to hire out-of-work servers to deliver liquor products as part of their food delivery service. Restaurants can only be open for takeout and delivery. Liquor stores do remain open. Bars and pubs and clubs, they remain closed. BC Transit in the Valley want passengers to only use the back door, rear door for buses. Transit is now free until further notice, and plastic shields are being put in place to protect the drivers. The provincial health top, Dr. Bonnie Henry, is also asking that construction crews take precautions, including there should be no more than 50 people on the same site at any time. Where possible, employees should maintain a distance of 2 meters apart from each other, post signage that limits the number of occupants in any elevator to 4 at a time, reduce in-person meetings and other gatherings, and hold site meetings in open spaces or at least outside. Increase the number of hand washing stations and post signage that identifies their location. As well, maintain a list of employees that are currently working on sites and update that list daily. All common areas and surfaces should be cleaned at least at the end of the day. Examples include the washrooms, the shared offices, common tables, desks, light switches, door handles. And BC Housing will suspend evictions until further notice. No word yet if the province will impose the same rules for all landlords facing the situation of evicting a problem tenant.
Nasi goreng is an Indonesian fried rice dish. It's an original recipe that has been handed down from Doutzen that we at Hofstede's have been using for 20 years. It is mildly spicy with hints of curry. Come in and enjoy it on Thursdays in our cafe as well as in our takeout section every day. Please come and enjoy.
Then there's the Chilliwack couple stuck in Peru. Leo and Shelley Vanderhoek had planned a 3-week hiking trip through Peru. And that was the celebration for Shelley. She had just retired from 35 years of nursing service with Fraser Health in the Fraser Valley. And the irony is she and her hubby are now confined to their hotel room in Peru as travel restrictions are cemented in place because of COVID-19. Leo noted that there was a flight leaving Peru back on Monday. They do have the financial wherewithal to pay for any flight. They are now waiting. They were impressed with how things were being, quote, done right in that country compared to Italy or Spain. It's a total lockdown, no gathering of over 2 people. And by the way, Germany has already put that into place. What about construction sites operating during COVID-19? The Algra Brothers Five Corners project has stopped. Construction companies have been asked by the Health Ministry to practice social distancing and keep crews to less than 50 workers on site. Meanwhile, Fraser Health is having to play Mythbuster. No, you cannot test yourself for COVID-19 by holding your breath for 10 seconds. That's why there's the 811 line to call and ask questions. Again, people have yet to get the message over social distancing. Back on Monday evening, all Crown land, including hiking trails, were closed. Cultus Lake Provincial Park, Teapot Hill, and all Chilliwack Lake trails are now closed. The great weekend weather brought out the masses. The problem was there were too many masses. chillTV Sports, the list of cancellations due to COVID-19 continues, with the most stunning of all coming from the Canadian Olympic Committee. First, they were telling the IOC they weren't going to send athletes to the 2020 Tokyo Summer Games. They wanted those games postponed until 2021. It was a very blunt message to the IOC to take the COVID crisis seriously. Originally, the IOC had planned to hold the games anyway. That's been put on hold for a year. UFE baseball season, that's scrapped, and U Sports is hoping that a fall season can be arranged. The BC Football Conference has put their season on hold. That affects the Valley Huskers and the Langley Rams. BC Soccer and Chilliwack FC have scrapped the April schedule. And what do you do if all you do is broadcast sports? Well, TSN and Sportsnet are showing plenty of playoff reruns, while sports talk shows are, well, talking about what life is like and all the what ifs. Meanwhile, Hockey Night in Canada on CBC has now become Movie Night in Canada. And now Berris Karden and his Councillor's Corner interview with Bud Mercer.
Well, welcome everyone, and I just wanted to welcome you to a new edition of Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City. Now, as you can see, we're trying some new technology here, so you're gonna have to bear with us. And it's my great pleasure to introduce to the show Councillor Bud Mercer. Bud, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking.
Well, that's great, and thanks for being on the show. And you're working from home clearly. You're monitoring, doing the social distancing thing, which is great. How has COVID-19 affected city operations? What's closed and what's open?
Well, I think like everything in society in the world right now, the city of Chilliwack's impacted like everybody is around the world. We're respecting all of the World Health Organization and the federal provincial government recommendations. Our operations have scaled back. We have a large number of individuals working from home, but aside from that, the city's open for business. We're just doing it in a different.
Okay, well, that's great. Your background is with the RCMP, and not all residents are going to know everything about you. Maybe you could just share a little bit about that background and maybe how during these times you're able to draw on from that background.
Yeah, thank you. I was an RCMP officer for 35 years. I worked myself through the ranks from a young constable on the street in Corner Brook, Newfoundland, to retiring as the assistant commissioner of the RCMP. My last job was I was responsible for security for the 2010 Olympics. I retired in 2010, joined the private sector, and worked for the government in Ottawa for 5 years before coming back to Chilliwack. No matter where I've worked, in the province or around the world. My wife and I have always kept a home here in Chilliwack.
Well, good. Yeah. So your background with the RCMP, with things that are going on in the city right now, we're not in a total lockdown like some countries are, like some provinces are. BC is not in total lockdown yet, but there are instructions in terms of keeping social distancing. What's the city's position? What are residents allowed to do, and what shouldn't they be doing? And can you offer any advice to citizens of Chilliwack?
Yeah, very clearly. I think the rules, if you want to call it, for accountability to each other are clear. It's been set out by a provincial health officer. It's no different than any other country or city or county or province around the world. We're stressing that social distancing is probably the most important thing that everybody has to do, not just for yourself, but for everybody around you, your family, your friends, your loved ones. Um, Common sense thing that we teach our children into their elbow, so that everybody wash your hands annually, avoid crowds. The government standard of 50 people, even for businesses, the restaurants. So it's just doing the common sense things that we've all been told to do over and over again.
Yeah.
In my travels around the city, I see people are respecting that, but unfortunately, occasionally I come across something that just baffles the imagination or common sense. People stand in tight groups. There was a picture being circulated of a lady lifting a child over the security tape, so the child play inside the playground that are obviously closed.
So, okay, so just on that,
The list
and
goes on.
I've seen some of these things and heard some of these things as well. As far as that's concerned, what is the city policies there? The playgrounds are closed. What happens if people disregard that bylaw? Is it now, or is there a criminal offense? Is there a civil offense? Can they get a ticket? How are you executing that?
Well, right now we're trying to stress the message in every possible communication medium possible. I guess technically there could be a bylaw issue ticket issued, but it's our hope that the citizens of Chilliwack will understand the importance of what we're doing and comply with the direction for everybody's safety, and it won't get to that.
Do you anticipate Chilliwack or BC going into total lockdown? And the reason why I'm asking that question is it seems, in just following internationally, certain countries have gone into total lockdown. Italy, France, the UK, Spain, certain US states, and I believe Ontario and Quebec now are in total lockdown. And it seems like that's the only way to actually do what they say is to flatten the curve once it gets out of control. In just looking at the numbers in BC, we're seeing an exponential rate of growth. We're a little bit behind the US, but maybe 10 days behind, and I think we're going to be at where they are in terms of their growth. So do you see Chilliwack completely shutting down at any point?
Berris, if I was a betting person, I think we are going to get to that. But we'll take the lead from, Dr. Bonnie Henry, the provincial health officer, in that regard. If she orders that, like every other community or city in the province, will comply with it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But I just feel like we may be getting a little bit behind the curve as a province by not just doing a total shutdown now. So moving on, in terms of what is open and what's not open, a lot of businesses have self-shut down. I think that's a good idea. The grocery stores are busy, and if you try the big box retailers, I don't know if you go to Superstore or Walmart or any of these, it's a zoo in these places, and people wearing gloves, wearing masks, and sitting for an hour and a half or so in lineup to pay for their groceries. It's pretty ugly. But, you know, maybe you can comment. There's other places to shop. Where do you shop? Where do you recommend?
Yeah, you know, I think for full disclosure, my wife and I are on day 11 of a 14-day stay-at-home self-isolation. We were caught in the US, and 2 days before we returned home, the 14-day requirement was recommended by our provincial health officer, and my wife and I respected that. So our children are delivering the necessary groceries and everything to the house.
Well, I was going to offer to get you some groceries in that case, because the pantry must be looking a little bit low by now. But you got your kids looking after you.
Yeah, we do. So, but anecdotally, from our children, the places that they've found it easier to grocery shop is our local suppliers, our community stores, places like the Fraser Valley Meats, the Mad Butcher, the Rosedale grocery store, and the smaller community stores. We've had great success in getting the food and house supplies that we've needed.
Yeah,
so
and I think that's the message that we're trying to send out there as well is, you know, maybe your normal routine is to go to the big box retailers to get your stuff. Maybe now is the time to look around at some local providers of these goods and services because they're open and they're available to help you get your groceries. Even a larger store like Freshco, it amazed me. Someone suggested I go there for some certain things, and that place was empty. And I think it's partly because a lot of people don't even know that it's open. So you know, I guess the message is don't sit in an hour and a half lineup in a store because you're possibly subjecting yourself to germs. And try these other places and give locals the business now when they need it.
Absolutely, and you know, just by way of example, the town butcher there at the bottom of Vetter Road at Keith Wilson. I contacted him the other day.
Bill Turnbull.
Right.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, Mr. Turnbull. And I contacted him the other day, and the process they're following, they've set up e-transfers so they don't have to touch each other's credit cards. They'll actually deliver to your house, or they'll deliver to the parking lot, pop your trunk, and then they shut it after they put the stuff in. So I think our community stores owned by the residents of Chilliwack are bending over backwards to help everybody get it done for whatever it takes.
Yeah, it's people are getting innovative, and it's just when times are stressful, the human ingenuity is amazing. And Councillor Mercer, I just wanted to thank you for your time this morning. I know you've got to get on to another call shortly, and I wish you well. I hope you get through your incubation period here pretty quickly. And stay safe, and thank you for being on Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City.
And to you too, and thank you.
Appreciate it.
chillTV weather, it is spring rain for the next few days and highs near 11. Thanks for joining us this week. Now, before we wrap, I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has supported chillTV's News of the Week over our past year, our first year. All our guest anchors, our principals in key segments like Deborah Green in travel, Barry Penner in Penner's Politburo, a number of Rotarians featured in Rotary Corner, Katie McKay of What's on Chilliwack, Steve Kroner for Kroner's Corner, Mayor Popoff and the Chilliwack City Council for Councillor's Corner, as well as all of our sponsors. And a big thank you to everyone who continues to work with us and working on doing remote features so that everybody stays socially distant and safe. There are many more people, too many to name individually, so again, thank you to all for your support. We do appreciate it. We are all in for unfamiliar times, and we hope that we can be here to serve you and bring you the local stories that are important to you. So saying that, if you have a story you feel we should know about, don't hesitate. Send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We want to hear from you. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn.